All right, everyone. So in this video here, I wanted to discuss about what things you might need if you want to either make content online or if you want to go more in line with streaming. Now, if all you want to do is just make some quick videos, post them online, I'll be honest with you, a lot of modern phones now does a really decent job in terms of video quality, the lighting, and all that. So, depending on what kind of stuff you're planning on posting online, honestly, the most you might just need is maybe like some kind of selfie stick or some kind of phone holder with a handle on it so that you can use that and use it to record. Now, if you're going more like, say, a game streaming type of thing, which most of the stuff I tend to do on online is gaming related stuff. So here's a little tips and tricks on some things I've learned over the years. First and foremost, one of the, I don't want to say this is a mistake. It's more of a evolution type of upgrades over time. Now, you might think, okay, I'll just cheap out on certain things, but to be honest with you, you might want to splurge a little bit more and get the stuff you actually want or need because in the long run it'll be cheaper. Let me explain. So this Stream Deck, this is a recent purchase I did, um, and the one I had before is actually over here, which is the Stream Deck Mini. Now, the reason why I got this is because it was cheaper at the time. I didn't really know if this was something I was really going to be using. But after a while, I was starting to use it more and more. And after a while, when I started upgrading some stuff, I realized, you know what? I should have splurged just a little bit more money and got something that was a little bit more useful. Now, there is a higher end model where there's a bunch of little buttons on them, but this is like the middle range version. I'll just say this from experience from myself. The mini, unless you only get it for certain things for that, spend the extra money and get this version. And also, when it comes to either camera equipments, microphones, things like that, if I had to choose between better video quality or better audio quality, between the two, honestly, spend the extra money on the audio equipment. And the reason why is most people is able to tolerate bad video quality, but most people cannot tolerate bad audio quality because this is something you hear. And depending on the type of content you're going to be producing, well, guess what? There's quite a bit of people out there that will just listen to YouTube videos, not necessarily watch them, but listen to them. So, like for me personally, I pay for YouTube Premium, which means, and yes, I know there are ways that you can do this without paying, but I pay for YouTube Premium just so I don't get ads mostly. But one of the perks, quote unquote, is the ability to listen to YouTube videos in the background. So, depending on the content you're going to be making, I would I would steer more towards better audio equipment versus better video equipment. And like for me personally, I use this Blue Yeti microphone, and this is on a blue boom arm. There are cheaper options, yes, but I do like this one because of the way it's designed, and also for my particular setup, it seems to work best for this kind of setup I use. Plus, it looks kind of cool too. But functionally, it works really well. And also, if you are going to be investing more on the video side of things, there are some things to keep in mind. What kind of videos you plan on producing? And the reason why I'm saying this is if you are someone that is going to be more, say, game streaming, and you don't necessarily need the entire screen filled for your video in terms of like your face or like anything else that's not gameplay related, using a decent webcam is actually a really good idea to use. So, like in my case, I use this Elgato Facecam. When this first came out, it was $200. Now it dropped in price to 160, I believe, 160, 170. At 200, it's a little expensive. That price, though, I think it's worth it. For a webcam, this is actually pretty decent. There are better options out there, of course. But one of the nice things about this is the Elgato integration of the software and the Stream Deck and all that stuff. So another thing I want to say too is if you're going to be investing money into a suite of products from the same company, try to stick to everything as possible through that. The microphone you can get away with going with someone else, and I would say to some extent even the camera you can use something else. But say like your lighting, your capture card, and things like that, especially if you're going to be using a Stream Deck, for example, there are other options and there are other things you can use to save some money. And there's also a phone app that you can use in place of this, which, if you have like an old Android phone lying around, you can basically turn that into a Stream Deck if you wanted to. So, a nice way to repurpose old tech that you don't use anymore. But for me, I use a Stream Deck. I'm used to it. I like the physical buttons, and it works for me. Plus, the nice thing about it is I can turn the light, turns it on. If I want to adjust the lighting, oh wait, it's that. I can make it brighter. I can make it dimmer. I can change the color temperature. But yeah, basically the way I have my lighting set up, and by the way, if you're wondering what kind of lighting to get, if you're trying to go simple and affordability, a ring light is going to be your best answer. If you're going to be doing the more traditional type of Twitch streaming, say like Ninja or Dr. Disrespect style, where you basically have your face somewhere on the side or in the corner with gameplay, a ring light is going to be your better option because you don't need to worry about having multiple light sources. It's one light. Plus, the nice thing about ring light, at least with this particular one, is that you can mount a camera, or in this case, the Elgato Facecam, but you can attach a regular camera to it, and because it's in the center of it, when the light in the video is capturing, it's all fairly even. So that's the nice thing about this. And also, depending on your setup and where you're going to be doing this at. So in my case here, this is literally my bedroom. So basically the way I have this set up is I want to have it as easy and simple as possible. So basically the way everything is set up now, I can basically get everything physically set up in about a minute. And that's where this thing comes in. It's one of these Elgato's green screens that pops up. I'll say this. If you're basically going to have a setup where it's going to be more of a permanent type of solution where you don't really have to mess with anything else, there are certainly cheaper options when it comes to green screens. If you're someone more like me that just wants to have something quick and easy to pop up real quick before you start, this is probably the best option out there. And another tip I will say when it comes to cost, yes, you can buy these new. This one is from Amazon Warehouse, so it was like $80 cheaper than brand new. Or wait a minute, or is it like 106? Anyway, but I got this for just over $100, and that's quite a bit of savings. And honestly, when I got this, yeah, the box was a little beat up, but obviously it was used. When I took this up out of the box and looked at it, it's like, okay, clearly someone just bought this just to use it for some project and then return it back to Amazon. So there's no scratches, no scuffs, no issues with the green screen. It works like it's brand new. So there are certain things that I will always try to go brand new. There are some other things I'm willing to take a chance. These types of green screens, honestly, especially if you're just going to get it through Amazon, see if you can get the Amazon warehouse version that's going to be cheaper, because I can bet you most of the returns is people just ordering them, using it for some school project or some video project, and then packing it up and returning it. And this is the same thing with the ring light. Now this ring light is another Elgato product, and hence you kind of knows the theme here. So basically, for me personally, once you use a Stream Deck, you kind of want to stay within the Elgato family of products because it kind of works best with it. Though it is possible to use this for other things too, of course. But for me personally, I want something easy to use, and this ring light works really well with it. This ring light, brand new, is $200. It's a little bit on the pricey side. It does work well. However, I'm lucky enough to have a Micro Center in the area, and they actually sell factory refurbished ones for $120. So that's an $80 difference between buying a brand new one versus a factory refurbish. However, I will say is that the first one I got was completely dead. It would not turn on or anything. So, and after doing some research, there are some quality control issues with these things, even brand new. So, a little quick tip with these things, whether it's the ring light or the other lighting products from Elgato, whether you're buying a factory refurbished one or a brand new one, take it out of the box, quickly plug it up just to make sure it turns on. If it turns on, great, get it set up. I kind of wish I did that the first time, but let's just say I wasted a couple hours of my life of realizing that the first one I got was a dead product. This one works fine. Another thing, the microphone I use, I had one originally as a desktop version. This one I found at Best Buy as a use. It was a returned item, but they had to sell it at a discounted price. Luckily, Best Buy was actually selling this with the microphone and this piece too with it for cheaper. Well, actually, if you price everything out separately, it is much cheaper the way I did it. But it was like a $20 difference between buying all this with the microphone, by the way, versus buying a brand new one in the box for just the arm, but not the microphone or this part here either. So for me personally, there are things I did to minimize the cost, or at least to get the most bang for the dollars I'm spending on this kind of stuff. And also because when I got this, I had two of these microphones. I didn't need the other one, so I ended up selling on eBay. And basically, I got, I got more than I thought I would, and that helped cover the costs for this. So out of pocket, I only paid like $60 for this, after I sold off the other microphone. So there are things you can do to help save money. And being that I did get this Stream Deck, I have no need for the mini version. So what am I going to do? This here is going to go up on eBay sometime this week. And I did take pictures of all this other stuff here that I'm going to be selling off because I don't need the Surface Go 2 anymore since I have a Surface Go 3 with LTE on it. So no need for that. And that's something to keep in mind too, is if you're someone that does upgrade stuff constantly, once you do upgrade the item that you're upgrading to, if you're satisfied with it and you're just going to keep using it, try to sell off your previous version of that product as soon as possible, because the longer you keep it, the lower the value goes over time. So I don't want to keep the Surface Go 2 for too long, even though this is the top end model for this series. I don't want to keep it too long because the longer this collects dust here, the lower the value it gets over time. So that's something to keep in mind. So all in all, and by the way, this eWin chair, so far it's a nice chair. I haven't had any real issues with it. But this one I found out from a YouTuber that, I saw a video of, and apparently there was a promo code for it. And I think I got it around Black Friday. And with that promo code, I actually got this particular chair at a decent price. So, so far this chair has been holding up really well, and I'm actually quite surprised. So, going to get a lot of long years out of this one. And this is for the big boy version. This is the big boy version. So basically, if you're fat, that's what this chair is designed for. Is for heavier set people. And yeah, the chair is a little bit wider. I really like the bottom part of the chair. And yes, I know, like, the original manufacturer price is like $400 or $500, but I got it for almost half the price of that. No, it was like no, it wasn't half price. I think I paid like $350 for it. So not a bad price for this. And yeah, really nice chair, really heavy duty chair too. Quite surprised by it. And I'm someone that is not a big fan of gaming themed types of chairs either. And honestly, I still have this one here, but this is mainly so that this is my computer chair. And if I'm just playing a game, I can just sit here. And then that way I don't have to like roll the chair all over the place. Plus, if I bring friends over, I have a secondary chair for them to use. But anyway, so that's really the whole point of this video is, just giving some tips and some suggestions on what to get if you're going to be streaming or just making YouTube content, or, just whatever video platform you plan on producing for. Another thing I want to say is when it comes to recording gameplay footages, unless you're going to have designated consoles strictly for that reason, this is literally just in my room here. So, I just keep all my consoles connected to the TV and I just use them as normal. And, if I want to capture some gameplay footages from any of the consoles, originally I was using one of those, what is called an HDMI matrix. And one of the things I've been running into in terms of technicality is the whole issue with HDMI, with the whole copy protection stuff, and the whole thing with the devices and the AV receiver talking to the TV and all like trying to work together. One of the issues with using devices like that is that whole communication stuff. So, what I ended up doing was these consoles I have little 4K compatible types of 6-inch extension cables where the extension cable stays connected to the console, and then I purposely use a blue cable, a blue HDMI cable to distinguish it. But I basically use that connected to the to that extension cable, so that I don't have to worry about damaging the HDMI port on the console itself. So if the adapter gets ruined because of excessive plugging it in and out, no big deal. I just buy a replacement one and I'm good to go. If it damages it on the console, a little bit of a pain in the ass. So for me personally, I'd rather wear out the extension cable versus the one on the console. And if I want to capture gameplay footages on the Switch, plug it to the Switch, Xbox, or PlayStation 5, I can just take that cable and plug it into those consoles. And then I just I just start recording. So I think that's the best route to go, and the cheaper way of doing it. And the more reliable, honestly. So for me personally, avoid any HDMI switches or those HDMI matrix devices, unless the only exception is if you're going to be using those things strictly for your setup. So you're purposely buying those consoles strictly for gameplay types of setups for making content. If those devices are designated just for that reason, then go ahead and look into those other devices. If you're like me, that you're basically having this stuff set up for everyday usage, and then occasionally hook it up to the computer to capture gameplay footages, do not go down that route. It's going to be such a pain in the ass to get everything set up and working properly and working reliably. So for me, it's more using the consoles for personal use day to day. And then when I want to capture gameplay stuff, I'll just manually connect the cables myself to it and then hit the record. So yeah, that's how I have everything set up. But all in all, I'm actually quite satisfied with how everything has turned out. And if you think about it, it doesn't really take all that much room. Another thing, too, before I end this, is the computer. Yes, the computer. So I use a laptop, and depending on. I told myself that going forward, I was going to go strictly laptop. And I think that's still true. Though I think if I do upgrade my laptop in the future, unless Microsoft does something different with their Surface laptops or their laptops in general, where they make them better than than the current ones, I may have to switch to a different company or a different manufacturer of laptops. Because, say, like, for example, there's my Surface Laptop 3 with the Surface Dock, and I've tried so many different ways. Unfortunately, at least with this particular capture card I'm using, seems like there's a bottleneck when it comes to having it connected to that docking station. And I think it's just a bandwidth limitation with everything going through one cable. So basically, what I ended up doing was having the Elgato capture card going directly to the USB 3 port on it, and then everything else through the docking station. So unfortunately, now it's not really a one cable solution, but it does get the job done. But I think going forward, if I do upgrade the laptop in the future, which eventually I will, but I need to have Thunderbolt. The laptop just needs to have like Thunderbolt 4 on it so that it has, the most amount of uh, data throughput that it's able to handle, so that it's a true one cable type of solution. Because if it's not, then maybe what I'll do is end up getting like not necessarily like an extremely small form factor, but just a small little desktop computer that can just sit there. And then that would be my editing and streaming rig. So maybe that's something going forward that might happen. But at least for right now, this is the setup I'm using. But I'll end it here. It's getting almost 30 minutes, so I'll end it here. If you have any suggestions or if you have any tips and tricks, leave those comments down below. If this is the first time you're watching this video on my channel, I would appreciate it if you did hit the subscribe button. That would mean a lot to me. And if you do subscribe, if you're already a subscriber, make sure you hit that bell icon so you get notified on future content that I produce. And with everything set up now, expect more gameplay types of videos, or just me rambling about things. So that's also another thing I wanted to do in the future is, talk about some more things. There were a lot of like issues coming up with the whole Intellivision Amico that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't have like a ideal setup to work off of. But now I can do that, and I'm probably gonna make an Amico impressions video from the beginning to now. So that is something I'm probably gonna be working on sometime this week. But yeah, I'll end it here. Like always, have a good one.